Mining, once the mainstay of the South African economy, is shedding jobs thick and fast. 3,000 from Samanco Chrome. Glencore says it might cut 665 jobs at its Rustenburg smelter, and Sibanye Gold is cutting jobs at Marikana. This in a country where a third of the labor force is already unemployed, will put even more strain and demand on economic growth. Here to discuss this matter, we are now joined by Henk Langhoven, who's an economist from the Minerals Council, as well as Philip Vilagazi, who is from the National Union of Mine Workers. Philip, let's start with you. Good evening, and welcome to the Full View. From where you stand as the NUM, has there been confirmation whatsoever from all these mining companies in terms of the jobs that they will be cutting?
Thank you very much, Aldrin. To be precise, yes, we have been served by Section 189 by Samanco, and much as I'm a deputy president, many of the correspondences are in Secretariat. There is this one of Glencore that is also said, and you must understand that in the smelters, there is us and NUMSA. It is confirmed that yes, NUMSA did receive
the Section 189.
Yes.
Yeah. And where do you stand on that?
You see, when Aldrin and the public at large, we are in a country that we should understand that there is a need for reform here. There are quite a number of summits which were convened by the president of the country, job summit here, job summit there, and all these companies made commitment, and to my understanding there's been a moratorium that says there will be no retrenchment.
But wasn't it that there will be no retrenchments in the public sector? I think that was the moratorium from the president.
No, Tina, the way we stand,
yeah,
what goes to the left come to the right. But from what we did with the letters is that we look into their reason. The first reason they are raising is the commodity price versus the electric tariffs.
Yeah.
And what we said to them is that, can we try to engage the minister's consent, and all these mining houses producing chrome now should come under one roof, and we submit a plan that will definitely save all these jobs that are in the main.
But how? It's not like the price of electricity would change. It's not like there will be a reliable electricity supply over the next few months even.
You see, Aldran, you need to understand, engagements are not like going in a shop to buy. When you engage, there are some exchange of ideas which can bring a change out of what you say is kind of like there cannot be changes. I can tell you from where I'm standing that with other sideline discussions with two ministers from yesterday and today, there are some lights at the end of the tunnel.
Which ministers are these?
We spoke to a lady working with the Minister of Trade and Industry. I personally spoke to Mkwati today, Honorable Mr. Kwedemantash. There are some discussions that, of course, if we can reach to that point where we highlighted the issues, we can stand here and say we might not have retrenchment.
Let's ask Hank to join the conversation. Good evening, Hank, and welcome to the Full View. Where do you think the country stands in terms of the mining industry, and do you believe that if, for instance, you take the idea that Philip just spoke about for negotiations and discussions, that jobs could be saved?
Evening. That's exactly what is going on, and I totally agree with him. The big problem on the one hand is the commodity prices, but on the other hand the availability and the tariffs, as he said, of electricity, and the smelters and the refiners are heavily dependent on electricity, and if the tariffs are rising the way they've been, and we think that what Eskom is asking now would give another 50% increase in tariffs over the next 3 years, on top of nearly a 500% increase over the last 6 or 7 years, then you can understand that the cost pressures are just coming from underneath. But there are certainly negotiations taking place to try and, at least if Eskom is not able to provide continuous electricity to us, that we do it in an organized way and more planned, which will not alleviate the problem completely, but it will actually help us to plan properly and perhaps avoid some of these losses that we're staring in the face.
Which you then have to weigh up whether, let's say we decide that there's going to be no job cuts. But however, though, that would mean that employees might have to take salary cuts.
Well, that has happened on one of all employees, in management included, happened on one of the smelters. But I think all the options must be open. We cannot sacrifice further or try and prevent as much as possible the losses of employment. I must say, overall in mining, job cuts have stabilized, or employment has stabilized over the last 6-7 months. So the latest announcements are really the last effects of the tariff increases, and companies that are just not able to sustain their activities with what has happened.
Okay, Philip, is that an option, salary cuts?
From where I'm standing, let me not endorse that, but say we are open for engagement. Remember, insofar as the salaries of our members are concerned, it's a salary that cannot even fulfill your social responsibility. Then cutting a salary cannot be an option. Instead, we talk to increase.
Okay, Hank, question that I quickly wanted to ask you is, so the ANC has said that they endorse a proposal that mining companies and private companies start their own power generation. Is this something that you think in the short term could assist?
I don't really think that it's possible shorter than 6 months, and that will be just a start. But over a period of about 12 months, it may start to have an impact. And I know that the companies have been applying for this and have been struggling to get permission, but the fact that Eskom has announced that they have no option, or that they're short of between 2,000 and 5,000 megawatts and will have no option but to curtail some of their generation capacity to allow them to do the maintenance, I think that has caused everybody's minds to focus and say, listen, anything and everything that we can do to sustain the companies and sustain employment must be looked at. All options, I agree, must be open. And I must say, the two ministers, Public Enterprises and Energy, are actually working very closely with us. So we are optimistic that working together we can actually find solutions for this problem.
Last year, the council announced that it predicts that about 200,000 jobs will be lost in the near future. Have you revised that figure? Does it still stand?
That was linked to the tariff increases over time. Yeah. And you must remember, I must just qualify it, we talk about companies that are marginal. In other words, they are not really making money, and companies that are making losses. And the number that you mentioned is actually a combination of the two. In other words, marginal mines as well as loss-making mines. Yeah. The commodity prices have been improving for some of them, which gives some scope for breathing space, but it has not been all over. So it depends on in what commodity you are. For example, in platinum with rhodium and palladium, it's a little bit better.
But does the 200,000 job cuts prediction that you have still stand?
The prediction is always premised on assumptions, and the tariff increases that we're staring in the face, if Eskom wins the case against NERSA, I must say that does then stand. But here and there will be some scope for movement because the commodity prices have improved.
Philip, I just quickly need your comment on that. Because there has been a battle, of course, with Eskom as well, and now we hear that they're in court with NERSA and trying to get that tariff increase. And here you have Hank saying that if that's the case, if the court says that Eskom can get that tariff increase that it wants, that would mean that the 200,000 job losses prediction stands.
Aldrin, let me not try to be playing maybe in the gallery. Allow me to stand here firm as a leader without disclosing other external forces and the processes that we are engaging on. I'm telling you and the public standing here that with the engagement I had with the minister today, he said to me, let's finish what we're doing now, but we are open for engagement, and there is this proposal from companies that they want to have their own electric producers, or they want to have their own plant, but it will be something that I cannot say now, yes or no, because there are some pros and cons that needs to be dealt with, especially on the issue that says if companies can have their plants only for them, but not to take a space where they distribute to other people. Then we said, but there is a regulation.
Yeah.
That's why we're saying where there is a law, you must understand people who are law-abiding citizens will always understand that a law is not something that goes with feelings. It's something that goes with engagement, and where there are engagement, there will always be compromise.
And will you compromise? Will you compromise?
Of course, yes. If push come to shove, why not?
Okay, thank you so much, Philip Vilagazi there from the National Union of Mine Workers, as well as Hank Langhoven. Tepiso,